Introduction to the course. Introduction to the module. This module will teach you what a laboratory technician is, as well as the skills and knowledge they should possess. You will also gain an understanding of the roles and responsibilities that the laboratory technician is expected to perform. This module will also instruct you in the definition of a laboratory, the nature of a clinical laboratory and what services they perform. The different types of clinical laboratories and their functions will also be covered. Topics to be covered. Introduction to laboratory technician. What is a laboratory? What is a clinical laboratory? Types of clinical laboratories. Skills and knowledge required as a laboratory technician. Roles and responsibilities of a laboratory technician. Introduction to laboratory technician. A laboratory technician is a technician who assists with or carries out work in a building or room equipped for conducting scientific research or for teaching practical science, such as by carrying out routine tests and analyzing the results. Collins Dictionary. What is a laboratory? There are different types of laboratory, which we will explore as we proceed through this course. Generally, however, a laboratory can be defined as a building or a room where scientific experiments, analyses, and research are carried out. Collins Dictionary. What is a clinical laboratory? Clinical laboratories, also called medical laboratories, are laboratories that perform chemical and microscopic tests on tissues, blood, and other body fluids. The laboratories can be found in both government and private settings. Clinical laboratories are a central part of patient care. Clinical laboratories that are part of large institutions can offer sophisticated services. They will also employ a large number of highly trained workers and interact with patients on a daily basis. There are also small clinical laboratories that employ only 1 or 2 workers. Types of clinical laboratories. Most people will associate clinical laboratories with hospitals. However, there are 2 different categories of clinical laboratories that provide different services in different forms. These are hospital laboratories and non-hospital laboratories. Both of these categories are made up of different types or sizes of laboratories. These separate kinds of laboratories have different responsibilities, and many of them interact with and depend on each other. Hospital laboratories. The clinical laboratory is one of a hospital's many departments. The range of services offered by clinical laboratories depends on the size of the hospital. Laboratories in small hospitals, less than 100 beds, typically perform routine test procedures. Tests that are more complicated than this, or required less commonly, will be sent to reference laboratories. Medium-size hospital laboratories, less than 300 beds, are able to perform more complicated test procedures. This allows them to send only recently developed, unusual, or highly complex tests to reference laboratories. Laboratories in large hospitals, over 300 beds, are capable of performing many tests and can carry out complex procedures. Non-hospital laboratories. There are several kinds of non-hospital laboratories, often called private or community laboratories. These laboratories will typically receive specimens or samples from different organizations. These include insurance companies, general practitioners, health clinics, and clinical research sites. Certain laboratories, reference laboratories, may specialize in less common tests. This can result in samples being sent between laboratories depending on what tests are required. By specializing in tests that other laboratories do not commonly perform, laboratories can receive payment for this testing. Public health laboratories, PHLs, exist within large NHS trusts. They provide specialist and dedicated support to clinical departments. They provide a number of services, which include specialist advice and support, specialist referred tests, and emergency response to outbreaks, epidemics, and bioterrorism. PHLs carry out research and development into medical microbiology and molecular diagnostics. They also perform functions like identification or typing if a reference library is not required for this work. Skills and knowledge required as a laboratory technician. Laboratory technicians require a range of knowledge and skills, such as knowledge of biology and chemistry, such as how to use and dispose of chemicals safely. The ability to work well with your hands. To be thorough and pay close attention to detail. The ability to use your initiative. The ability to work well as part of a team. Good administration skills. Knowledge of mathematics. IT skills and the ability to use specific software competently. Roles and responsibilities of a laboratory technician. The laboratory technician will be required to perform laboratory tests in order to produce reliable and precise data to support investigations. Carry out routine tasks accurately and follow strict methodologies to carry out analyses. Construct, maintain and operate standard laboratory equipment, such as centrifuges, titrators, pipetting machines and pH meters. Prepare specimens and samples. Ensure that waste is disposed of safely and that equipment is kept clean and serviceable. Record, and sometimes interpret, results to present to senior colleagues. Prepare graphs using computers and perform mathematical calculations. Ensure the laboratory is well stocked and resourced, and that everything is correctly labeled. Be aware of current technical developments, particularly those which will improve efficiency and reliability. Carry out searches on identified topics that are relevant to the research. Follow and ensure strict safety procedures and safety checks. Summary. In this part of the course, you have learned the following. Laboratory technicians assist with and carry out work in laboratories, areas in which scientific experiments, analyses, and research are carried out. Clinical laboratories are laboratories that perform chemical and microscopic tests on tissues and body fluids. There are clinical laboratories in different sized hospitals, as well as public health laboratories and reference laboratories. Skills required by laboratory technicians include scientific knowledge, the ability to work well with your hands, and competence with computers and software packages. Activities performed by laboratory technicians include performing laboratory tests, maintaining and operating laboratory equipment, and keeping up to date with technical developments.